The South African Police Service is the national police force of the Republic of South Africa. His headquarters are in the city of Pretoria. It was originally established after the establishment of the Union of South Africa in 1913 to oversee law and order within the country. During the country's apartheid era, the police and the military had close ties and were heavily armed to deal with liberation movement protests and civil unrest. These powers gave birth to police brutality that made it to international headlines and was heavily condemned by the international community. The government has in the past used the police to suppress protests and shoot any protesters. This trend did not end with the rise of a democratically elected government of the African National Congress, but has continued for decades after the election of President Nelson Mandela. The current Minister of the Police once gave a clear instruction to all police to shoot to kill without worrying what happens after. People celebrated this statement because they thought only criminals would be subjected to this, but it has since proved not to be the case, as more innocent civilians have been subjected to police brutality.
Number 5.
Gabriel and Alexander Timane and Sylvester Coase. 6 members of the K9 unit who were arrested for setting their dogs to charge of black Mozambican men, Gabriel and Alexander Timane and Sylvester Coase, made international headlines as one of the first major cases of police brutality under the democratic South Africa. The policemen claimed that the attack on the men was part of training their dogs to bite human beings, and the incident was filmed where the officers can be seen laughing, kicking the men in what was called the tasting blood exercise, where illegal African immigrants are targeted as they are unlikely to lay charges due to their illegal immigration status. The men could be seen crying, screaming and begging for mercy for about an hour as the German shepherds tore them in broad daylight. The crime, which took place in 1998, had political observers commenting that racism and police brutality, the legacies of the apartheid government, had survived the end of white minority rule. It was a clear indication that the police had not transformed, as this was apparently a common practice. All 6 of them were suspended without pay after their arrest, and some of them resigned voluntarily. 4 of them pleaded guilty, but continued to argue that the sadistic event was done to train inexperienced dogs to attack on their handlers' instruction. The 3 victims were spotted at a busy taxi rank where they were arrested, and later found to be undocumented immigrants. The ringleader, Coke, instructed the other officers to join him in the veld in Brakpan, but as they were busy with the torture, onlookers arrived, and they had to move to another spot in Benoni. The victims had to be put under witness protection service, and were not allowed to talk to the media regarding the incident. 4 of the former policemen were jailed for 4 and 5 years each for the aggravated assault.
Number 4.
Andrews Tarney. On 13 April 2011, a service delivery protest took place in the Free State province of South Africa, in the town of Vicksburg. An unarmed protester, Andries Tarney, a mathematics teacher and a father of 2 who was amongst the protesters when police started firing tear gas and attacking the crowd with batons, descended on the man who then fought back. The shocking video of the police attacking the man and shooting him at point-blank range in the chest with rubber bullets surfaced on national news and painted a picture of a failed African state where politicians use police to put excessive force onto civilians who protest the ongoing poor situation in the country, where their leaders are living in leafy suburbs, driving fancy cars and smoking cigars. 7 officers were arrested and faced charges related to his death. While the criminal trial continued, the South African Human Rights Commission launched its own investigation following a complaint brought before it by the Council for the Advancement of the South African Constitution. The South African Human Rights Commission announced it also found the South African police services were not suitably equipped to deal with protests. All the involved officers were found not guilty, as it was claimed that they could not be identified because of the helmets that were worn. Tarney died after police used rubber bullets and batons to subdue him during a service delivery protest, and the case received huge media attention after footage of Tatane's alleged assault by police members was broadcast nationally. 2 of the state's police witnesses had claimed they were threatened into making statements to the Independent Police Investigative Directorate, the South African Broadcasting Corporation News reported.
Number 3.
Emilio Mesha. A Mozambican immigrant and a taxi driver who was brutally murdered in a senseless attack by the South African Police Services. Emilio Mesha was handcuffed behind a police patrol van and dragged for over 500 meters in a crowded street of Deveiton. The incident was filmed and shared on social media and sparked an international condemnation and a diplomatic rift between South Africa and Mozambique. The victim, who died later in the police station's holding cells, sparked outrage and the officers involved were suspended and the local police commander was removed from his post. The police claimed that the victim assaulted one officer and disarmed him, but the video footage contradicted their statement, as it clearly shows Meisha in an argument with the police, before he was manhandled to the ground by a group of 5 police officers. Meisha was apparently asked to move his vehicle from the road as it was blocking the traffic, but it was then claimed that he assaulted and disarmed a cop after an argument where other officers managed to wrestle him after he resisted arrest. One witness who was in the same cell with him claimed that the officers further assaulted him in the cell and that was when he was fatally assaulted. The Mozambican national was found dead in the Deveitan police station's holding cells a few hours later, reportedly only wearing his underwear and socks. The preliminary autopsy report released by the Independent Police Directorate of South Africa Investigations indicated that Meisha died in police custody from head injuries and internal bleeding. He was dragged behind a police van after having been confined to the rear. The South African police was accused of xenophobia, and on August 25, 2015, 8 former police officers were found guilty in the murder of Meisha in the High Court of North Gauteng.
Number 2.
Nathaniel Julies, a teenage boy with Down syndrome, sparked outrage when he was shot dead on August 26, 2020, by the South African police in Eldorado Park, south of Johannesburg. The boy was allegedly on his way home after he went to the shop to buy himself sweets and snacks in the evening and was stopped by the cops and shot after he could not answer questions asked by the police officers. The police then loaded him onto the back of their van and dropped him at the nearest government hospital without informing his family, where he later died on the same night. The initial statement from the police was that Julies was shot by accident during a shootout between the police and street gangs, but witnesses later claimed that the boy was approached by the cops, questioned, but could not provide answers and frustrated the cops who then shot him in cold blood. The mentally disabled boy did not provoke the police and did not pose any physical or deadly threat to them, yet he was shot with live ammunition. The Independent Police Investigative Directorate of South Africa arrested 3 police officers for the death of the teenager. The police minister, who once made statements about shoot to kill, arrived at the boy's family home, but was greeted by an angry mob of protesters from the community. Nathaniel was a boy from the Eldorado Park township in Soweto, which was previously a colored people location. Colored people are a mixed-race community and are a minority in South Africa and have often felt marginalized by the government, who has focused on repairing damage caused to black people by the previously white-dominated government. The death of Nathaniel has caused the rise of a new hashtag, Colored Lives Matter, which derives from the USA Black Lives Matter movement.
Number 1.
The Marikana massacre. The Marikana massacre was the killing of 34 protesting miners by the South African police on 16 August 2012. The massacre remains the biggest killing of civilians in democratic South Africa, and is only surpassed by the Sharpeville massacre of 1960, which happened during the apartheid government. The killing of the miners was performed using R5 assault rifles, and 78 miners were also injured. The miners who were on a protest over wage increase and better working conditions at the Lonmin Platinum Mine in a wildcat strike. A wildcat strike is an unofficial industrial action taken by unionized workers without the union leader's authorization, support or approval. The lack of communication between the miners and the National Union of Mine Workers made the situation worse, and left the miners without organized leadership, which saw them militarized and carrying traditional weapons during their demonstrations. The police barricaded the miners and instructed them to lay down their machetes and spears, but the miners refused to follow the instruction and told the police that they need the weapons for their daily use as they work near the bushes. The police left the miners to proceed, but as they were closer to them, they opened fire using rubber bullets and live ammo. More than 400 police officers in military apparel and armed with R5 rifles, which are a replica of the Israeli SAR LM5 assault rifles. Barbed wires were installed to control the miners' movements and police helicopters were deployed to the scene. The killing made it to international headlines, and a commission of inquiry was set up to investigate events leading to the massacre. The inquiry's report absolved any top political figures including President Cyril Ramaphosa, who was the non-executive director at Lawman. South Africa is the third largest platinum producer in the world, and employed 28,000 employees in 2012, but has since retrenched thousands of them, while the widows of the slain miners await reparations.
For more content like this, please like and subscribe to our channel in South Africa. Thanks for watching this video.